My comments last night about preparation is not going to change. It's going to get even a little bit more here tonight. There is no excuse for LSU going into this being the last day you and I will talk, probably one of the last practices they'll have in the week before they come back after their bye week, which, listen, you have a bye week. Take the rest. Get off your feet. Go watch some football. Stay off of your feet. Get rest. I hope all of the LSU players do that this week to get the rest that they need for what is going to be a long haul of a season. You had 3 games in the month of October. You had this one versus South Carolina. You got Vanderbilt on the road, and A&M comes into town. Guys, quite frankly, you can beat all of those teams. You can lose to all of those teams, or you can split, or you can go 1-2. You can go 2-1, and then you go into another bye week, and then you go to Bama on the road. There's so many different ways and things that this season can play out for you. But there's one thing that I know for certain. There is 0% excuse for this offense coming out of a bye week to not play with their hair on fire. And what do I mean with their hair on fire? I'm not saying win the toss, take the football, get the ball, and score on the first possession. I'm not saying that. It's not how football always is consistent. But you got to look different. Now, I just got done talking about I don't ever remember, nor do I believe, that there's ever been more scrutiny or more things thrown at Garrett Nussmeier than there has been in the last week and a half, 10 days. I guess that would be 10 days, week and a half, 10 days. But the last week to 10 days. There's the amount of pressure that he's got to be feeling, if he's listening to it, hopefully he's not, it's got to be immense. But I look at this week and going into next week, when you start getting rolling on Monday and Tuesday and the week is starting, there is zero excuse to not come out offensively with your hair on fire. You know, I thought during camp, when we were at practices, we were going out there, we were having conversations in these practice reports. I'm like, okay, every single time we come out here, the conversation is offense is getting dominated. And in those conversations, 8-9 weeks ago, remains to be the same to some extent about how things have went in the fall, in the spring, and even are starting to play out now. At some point, you got to put your foot in the ground and say, we got to make a stand. Guys, the preparation for this week has got to be better from a coaching staff standpoint, from a player standpoint. And when I say preparation, I'm not calling out everyone whose preparation is elite, that is in the right light, and they're doing the right things. But you cannot convince me at the current moment that everybody's putting in the extra time, and I said extra time, that deserves to be great. But there is a 0% excuse for this team to come out unprepared, to have some of the silly timeouts that you've had, to not be able to get a field goal unit out on the field. When I talk about prepared and you have to call a timeout because you don't want to run a quarterback sneak, because you can't get your field goal team out there and you got to call out timeout against Ole Miss. Those are the things that I'm talking about. It doesn't fall all on one player. It doesn't fall all on one coach. Brian Kelly gets paid a lot of money for it to fall on him, and I understand that. But everybody's got to be locked in and focused. You know, and all of the chaos and every single bit of the chaos that this week has brought, whether it be Brian Kelly and Garrett Nussmeier, whether it be Michael Van Buren that we'll talk about in a minute, it doesn't matter what the conversations that you've had at work with friends, that you commented on this show, you going to another message board and having comments, none of that matters. Here is the truth. The truth is you cannot have situations like the field goal where you got to take a timeout, which has happened multiple times under Brian Kelly. It's happened multiple times. And it's really been exaggerated more with the last 2 years, especially on offense. So when I talk about timeouts being needed, field goals not being executed, things not happening, those are the things I'm talking about. Coming out of a bye week, that should not happen. And in all of that, Briankelly said something this week that I thought he was spot on with, and it gets missed because of all the chaos. He said at the podium, and everybody getting mad at it and mad at him, he said, we sometimes lose focus on details. And guys, he's taken a massive hit this week, and he should. He's right. Sometimes people you don't like or you don't like right now can be right about a topic. Damn, that felt like politics. Unfortunately. But it's true. It is 1,000% true. There is a 0% excuse for you to be this talented on defense. There's a 0% excuse for you to have the level of talent that I still believe that you have it on offense. Blake, we ain't got bullshit. You have talent on offense. Did players this week make a move? Carius Kern cannot come out of the lineup now because Briankelly compared him the other night to Emory Jones. And in that comparison of Emory Jones, hey, he reminded me of the first start for Emory Jones. Okay, well then put him in the lineup. Whether you want to leave him at right tackle, newsflash to everybody that's here, he's not a right tackle. 6'5", 335, 340 pounds, he's not a right tackle. He's a guard. The kid benched over 500 pounds twice and could have hit more reps. He is not a tackle. He's a guard. Just because he's an athletic freak does not mean that he doesn't need to be put in the position that's best for him. Want to get an interior run game? Put Big 57 in there and see what happens. Because right now, what do you have to lose? Well, Blake, what if he misses an assignment? Newsflash. People are already missing assignments. So when I talk about there being 0% excuse, guys, this is it. This is where you come out and you make a stand. 3 weeks ago on a Thursday, and I even said this on Thursday of last week before everything got chaotic. If you want me to clip myself and do it again, we'll do it. I'll get Brandon to clip it. You get to a place, you get to a time, you get to a situation where, yes, it's not a matter of if you get beat again, of when, if you can't run the ball and do better things and be better offensively. But when you sit here and you look at this team and say, is this the inverse of 23? Because, guys, it very well might be. And I don't think that you had the personnel there. Now, from a personnel standpoint, right now offensively, and to the main point, I think you're lacking. I don't think you're playing the best players. I don't think I think it's an indictment on your offensive line coach. I think it is an indictment on Briankelly for waiting for Carius Kern to get those amount of reps. And by the way, guys, he knew 15 minutes before the game kicked off that he was starting at right tackle. Think about that for a minute. You have a true freshman that had no idea he was going to start with zero preparation, zero excuses were made, and he did his job. Put him at left guard and see what happens. Put him at right guard and see what happens. Because if you want to find an interior run game, that's where it starts. So when I talk about preparation and excuse making and personnel, those are all the things when you go to the freaking message board and you want to have a conversation, but you don't want to have it in here, or you tuck your tail in between your legs when we show up to a baseball game and you don't want to bring it up when you see us in person, fine. That's what we're talking about. The same bitching and moaning and complaining and bullshit that you'll take to social media is the same shit that's got to change. You won't win without it. You won't win with it. So there's a 0% excuse for all three levels of this team coming out of a bye week to not be prepared. I know you need rest. I know you need a revamp. I know you need a recharge. I get all that. Everybody goes through that. Guys, during the spring, y'all know this more than most. There'll be sometimes on a Thursday, I'll send out a tweet, hey, guys, I'm not feeling this today. We'll see you on Friday night for a post game. Because, guys, you get burnt out. You get burnt out. I get burnt out. Everybody gets burnt out. No one's telling you not to take a break. This is the time, though, from a mental standpoint, that you need to get it in. Couple of other things. How as a team offensively do you respond? We talked about Garrett. But, I use a boxing analogy here. When a boxer that's never faced adversity in the ring, when he finally gets clipped, he finally gets knocked down, he finally sees his blood for the first time, how do you react to it? See, guys, you brought a lot of people in from the portal. And the question's going to be, how big of a team and how unified as a team do you have? Because if you're not unified, you're not going to make it. If you can't come together on these hollow grounds, then you don't have a shot. You got clipped. You got knocked down. You're not out of the fight. You got back up. You are back into the fight. You have a chance now as a team to rally. Finger pointing, saying it's this guy's fault, that's guy, it's not going to work. But, guys, people's jobs are on the line. Let's understand what we're talking about here. Let's not hold anything back. People's jobs are on the line. Whether anybody wants to admit it or not, people's jobs are on the line. From a player standpoint, from a personnel standpoint, and from a coaching staff standpoint, people's jobs are on the line. How are you going to respond? So you come out of a bye week, you must be prepared. But by simple effort, guys, next week, when the ball is kicked off, you're going to instantly know how this team responded in the bye week. Instantly. Because if they're going out there, and listen, just because you're not scoring points doesn't mean that you're not giving full effort. And you know what? As much as it may sting and hurt, if you give me everything you got, I can live with it. I don't think you gave me everything you got against Ole Miss. I don't. I legitimately don't. So when we talk about the preparation versus having an off week versus having a bye week, there's two differences. I hear people say, yeah, we're off this week. No, you don't. You have a bye. You just don't play this week. You ain't off. You ain't off. You brought a lot of players in from the portal. A lot of players in from the portal. And I just asked a simple question. Now that you've gotten clipped and you have not been together for a long time, how do you all respond? It's the only thing that this team can control right now is the work that they've put in. Now, let's get into some more details. There are things that I got to see offensively just to see it. Briankelly talked about this past week and to go into more detail about the passing game and it being a problem. And a lot of people reacted to Briankelly and said, hey, listen, coach, you can't run the ball. You're right. He knows. Guys, he knows. You haven't been able to run the ball under Joe Sloan. And that's just a fact. Guys, you're ranked over the last 18 games in the hundreds in running and rushing. You've not been good at it. Guys, the only thing you can do is pray to God that you got enough good wide receivers and good playmakers and that you can throw on the ball enough to move the football and get points. It's the only other thing you can do because you have not shown that you can fix the running game at all. And I don't think it's a lack of trying. But Briankelly said we have to get back to fundamentals. Okay. Well, guys, when's the last time that they've run simple things like, hey, Catch the ball, throw a slant. Catch the ball, throw a hitch. Catch the ball, throw an out route. We try to so many times in this offensive system, the way that I see it, is try to do so many different things. You know, if Garrett is having problems, if he's not having the solutions that he needs, here is the truth of what's got to happen and what I hope they worked in the bye week. Garrett, you have 3 reads, and if none of those reads are open, you get out of there. You got to simplify things. You got to, I know that you probably don't, but right now you do not have a vertical passing attack. You simply don't. And everybody knows it. And here's the dumb thing about it. Not does that everybody, they knew, did Ole Miss, that you didn't have a vertical passing attack, and they still dropped 8. They still kept 3 people very deep on you, and they knew that you couldn't throw the ball that way. They knew that you could not throw the football deep, and they were basically telling you, we're going to keep everything in front of us, go up and tackle, and make sure that Garrett Nussmeier dumps the ball off and methodically moves the football down the field, and you did not do it. Your coaching staff didn't preach it to him, and he didn't do it. Well, this is what you got to do now, because now, in my humble opinion, you don't have a choice. We're going to go a 3-man concept, and if those 3 reads are not there, you're out of there, and not any of these vertical pushing the ball down the field routes. If he is in the game, I'm slant, hitch, check down. Slant out, check down. And if it's not there, get out of there. Check the ball down. Do something. And I got a great solution to change your run game. Throw the hitch. Throw the slant. Throw the out route. And if none of those are there to replicate the passing attack, instead of going east and west, which we're going to talk about, instead of throwing bubble screens, instead of throwing screens to Xavier Thomas behind the line of scrimmage, why don't you get north and south and start throwing some checkdowns like the success that you had versus Clemson? Why did you go away from it? But the simplest thing right now for this team, the most simple thing, run a basic hitch. They're playing off of you. They're playing off of you. If they want to give you 5 yards, take it. If you go down the field and it takes 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, as egregious as that sounds, and it is egregious, if that's how many plays it takes for you to get in the end zone, who gives a shit? When's the last time that you've seen this team consistently just throw a hitch route when they're giving you easy yardage? They did it to Chris once, and you didn't come back to it. You ran a basic slant route against Clemson, and Aaron got 10. You barely came back to it. Why? You ran an RPO, which luckily worked, without the main R. Guys, this team offensively and what they have got to accomplish this upcoming week, 3 reads and you're out of there. The check down cannot be east and west. The checkdowns have got to be north and south. You got to start getting positive yardage, because I've been very reluctant to say this, but here's the truth. Your offense right now is way too east and west. Well, Blake, we don't have a passing attack that can push the ball down the field. It's not what I'm talking about. You go sideline to sideline expecting to outrun everybody. When I'm talking about going north and south, get positive yardage. Guys, hit the 4-yard out route. Hit the 3-yard hitch route. Hit the 5-yard check down. If they're going to play off of you, which everybody has, then hit it. If you can't throw a 7-yard route, well, then we have different conversations that we have to have. But let me give an example. The first play to Bauer Sharp gets dropped. Why? Now, their excuse is going to be, well, we can't hit him. It's not because it's not open. It's because you're throwing it into bad coverage. You're throwing out routes. The last time you throw an out route, you threw it to a running back who was double covered. One of the biggest plays that you had of all season, 2 of them came against Florida when it's something that took you literally a second and a half to throw the ball down the field. A seam route that was wide open, 3 reads and we're out of there, and a slant route to Aaron Anderson that, quite honestly, should have been hit more. They don't respect you. They want to keep everything in front because they think that you're going to continue to do these stupid overall things and push the ball down the field 10, 15, 20 plus yards down the field, and they want you to check everything down. Want to know why you beat Clemson? Go back and watch it. We talk about preparation, but you got to start limiting right now. If this is the Garrett that we are going to have, and even if Michael Van Buren comes into the game, even for him, you got to start limiting the reads. You got to start giving him quick decisions, because when Garrett has quick decisions and he doesn't have to think a lot, that's when he's at his best. Now, this east-west shit, this jet sweep shit, this swing pass shit is just not going to work all the time because receivers are not made to be blockers. You're asking Chris Hilton and Barrion Brown and Xavier Thomas and Aaron Anderson to block. Are you kidding me? Think about that statement. And then you go into 12 personnel and put both big mammoths out there expecting them to be any better. What are you doing? What are you doing? Now, I see Flight says Joe Sloan can never simplify shit. This ain't G5. Flight, I get it. But you got to simplify things. I'll give you another example. Your quarterback legitimately, and I think about this all the time. I'll never forget that Kyle Shanahan said when they brought in Brock Purdy, and they asked him, why to start every game do you roll him out of the pocket? He goes, I'm giving him 3 reads and I'm making him go. Either he's going to throw the deep corner, he's going to throw the thing underneath, or he's going to run the football, and we're getting him into the rhythm. When's the last time that they have forced Garrett Nussmeier out of the pocket? Well, Blake, he can't run. He doesn't. Guys, you got to do something. But the simple shit, you're not executing on. I would go more 4 wide without the 12 personnel, without the 2 tight ends. They have shown that they have, with the connection with Garrett, it's not there. It simply is not there. Get your playmakers in space, let them run some quick stuff, and when they come down, because they are, if you want to take a shot to back them off, then go right ahead. You know, your scoring drives against Ole Miss is literally how that happened. Want to know why Chris Hilton got open? Well, here's the plays before. 7-yard pass, 12-yard pass, 9-yard pass, 6-yard pass, 7-yard pass. They go man up, they scoot everybody down, and Chris Hilton roasts somebody, and you're unable to hit it. And listen, I'm not getting on Garrett for physically not being able to throw the ball down the field. I'm not going to do it. We've talked about it too much. I think Brian Kelly is going to get more involved with the passing game. I don't think that he has a choice. He's got 2 guys right now in that role, and Sloan and Cortez Hankton, that have never called plays. And it's not working. And in that not working, he's got to simplify it. 3 reads and you're out of there. So he talked about we got to be better in the passing game. That's what I expect from him. Garrett, there is something Garrett is elite at even right now, I think. When he doesn't have to really think about things, he's good. It's when they start trying to muddy the waters, which Elko's going to do to you in a couple weeks, Clark Lee's going to do to you in a couple weeks. That's when things go haywire. Letting him throw a swing pass isn't doing it. And by the way, you're going east and west. Want to know why you're not gaining yardage? It's because of that. You got to start gaining north and south. And I've been calling for Xavion to get looks in the backfield. Well, if you want to check the ball down to him and make him an option, make him an option. But I'm going to take 4 yards every play. That's where we're at. You can't push the ball down the field. You're not making the right reads over the middle of the field, and you've got a quarterback that can't make the throw right now. So I'm simplifying everything from top to bottom, for better or worse, until death do us part. I'm literally reducing every single little thing that you do. Now, there's something before we move to defense that they should be working on this week, and it should have gotten completed. Michael Van Buren. You can't bail on him on the first sign if you move to him. If he doesn't have a successful drive on the first drive, doesn't mean that you don't need to go back to him again. My fear is that you go to Michael Van Buren and he has a quote-unquote drive that's unproductive and you don't stay with him. That would be my fear. I don't think, from the way that I feel about Briankelly right now, he's had a very good poker face because he's made it seem that they're not moving off of Garrett Nussmeier, or they're not going to give MVB a look. And very well might be the case. But guys, you got to give him more than a chance. You got to give him a couple of drives and see what happens here. If I'm Michael Van Buren, I am telling him, if I'm Joe, you know what? If I'm Briankelly, forget Joe Sloan for a minute. If I'm Briankelly, I'm telling him, take the easy layups. If there's a lane to run in, run. If there's an easy completion, hit it. If there's an easy run that you can check into, do it. Methodically move the football. Because guys, you can't right now. Let me reemphasize. You can't even move the football. You have had troubles moving the football. There's only one other thing that you can do. Either continue to be a little, I hate to call it West Coast dink and dunk, but you're there. You're there. The air raid principle is king in doing this. You have an air raid OC. You got to be able to find ways to get receivers the ball quickly in space. Screw this 12 personnel bullshit. If you don't trust your quarterback's decision-making, well, I mean, that's on you. That's on you to make that decision. But all this east and west bullshit, all this trying to throw Omaha and dagger routes and trying to get Garrett to push the ball 15 yards down the field when he can't do it and he's throwing it into triple coverage, guys, it's not going to work for you because it hasn't changed. It hasn't changed. In 10 SEC starts, he's got 15 picks. And y'all hate it when I bring that up. But, guys, it's factual. Her first-year starter, I don't give a shit. It doesn't matter in the context of you keep turning the ball over in very unopportune times. Well, then make it simple. And it might not work all the time, but it's better than what we're seeing right now. Get that big-ass wide receiver and Nick Anderson and let him run a hitch route and go get 7 yards. Guys, go back and watch the Ole Miss game from 2022. Jaden was awful in that first quarter. Awful. Literally 2 of the next 3 passes that Denbrock schemed up was him throwing throwing hitch routes to Kyron Lacey. You're going to give me 9 yards? Bitch, I'm going to take it. Guys, you can, as bad as things have been, I still think that you can run the ball for a yard. At least I think you can. Then get a first down. If they're off of you, throw a quick slant. Well, Blake, it's only going to be 6 yards. What else are you going to do? I'm not saying abandon every little single thing that you do, but you got to start simplifying some things, or things are going to get much worse. Teams know you now. They've adjusted. And quite honestly, after watching South Carolina versus Kentucky, guys, you're going up against a better defense next week. That's Lenora Sellers terrifies me. Their defense makes me petrified. Legitimately. If you can't get easy layups for your quarterback, then you don't need to call the game.